Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's virtual opening night from Clipper Magazine Stadium and a number of other locations. And joining me is the always effervescent and lovable Adam Hollywood Gockenauer from Gockenauer Home Appliances. And Adam, it's my pleasure to work with you, albeit a couple hundred miles apart, in bringing the fans the fourth inning this evening.
Well, it's great to be with you, Dave. Albeit, yes, on a whole different level than we're used to. Usually we're right next to each other watching and enjoying the game, and I'm watching you do all the stats, and I'm on my iPad, but essentially we're kind of doing the same thing. I'm on my iPad still watching you, and we're going to have a little fun here during this hard time. So it's just great to be with you and see you again.
Likewise, my friend. So here we go. Through 3 innings tonight, the line totals for the Barnstormers: no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. For the Long Island Ducks, no runs on 2 hits with no errors, and the Ducks have stranded 2. Lou Ford steps in to lead off here in the top half of the 4th inning. Ford singled into right center field his first time up tonight. Of course, Lou, in his 11th season playing for the Long Island Ducks, he's been the hitting coach now for a few years. At the age of 43, the wily veteran is still in uniform. Here's the first pitch to him, and it's taken outside from Reed for a ball. 1-0 the count. No score here in the top half of the 4th inning. It's been a pitcher's duel. Reed for the Barnstormers, their all-time leading winner. Vin Mazzaro, an 11-game winner for the Long Island Ducks a year ago. Reed comes back, and it's fouled away, dribbled up the third baseline. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count on Ford. I have a standing joke with Lou Ford, Adam. When I deliver the box scores downstairs after the game, he's in the coach's office, and usually he's gone 2 for 4, 3 for 5, something like that in the game, because I can't think of anybody who's been a bigger thorn to the Barnstormers over the years. And I just will throw the box score on his desk, look at him and say, "I'm tired of your act," and walk out. So that's the level of relationship I have with Lou. Breaking ball from Reed, missing down and in. Ball 2 and a strike. Now the count on Ford. No score here in the 4th inning. Home opener baseball coming your way from Clipper Magazine Stadium. 2-1 pitch, fouled away, this time slicing up into the first base seats. Down the right field line, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The count to Lou Ford. Reed's been efficient here in his home opening start, his 2nd start of the season. He's gone 34 pitches the first 3 innings, 4 on this at bat. 2-2 now to Ford. It's popped up on the right side. Drifting back on it is Mercedes, coming in Kendall. Mercedes waving him off. Melvin making the catch. First out here in the top half of the 4th inning, and that will bring on a player the Barnstormers fans know fairly well from his time with the Philadelphia Phillies, the first baseman Brock Stassi. And Stassi making his 2nd appearance here in the Atlantic League. He has been previously with the New Britain Bees a couple of seasons ago, played there for a while, hit .361 with the Bees back in 2018 during a short stint. And Adam, you had a chance to watch Stassi then, and Barnstormers couldn't get him out. Nobody could.
Yeah, it's funny. This team has a lot of players that we seem to have trouble with. We had Lou Ford, we just talked about him, and Brock, a lot of good old names that we always seem to have trouble with when they leave town.
First offering to Stassi, a called strike on a fastball from Reed onto the inside corner to the left-handed batter. It's 0-1. Nate Reed continuing to sail through the Ducks. The Barnstormers had so much trouble with the Long Island Ducks last year. Ducks took 17 out of 21 in the season series. Very similar story a year ago with the High Point Rockers. The Barnstormers only won 4 games in that season series. So Ross Peoples is looking forward to being able to get to these ball clubs this year. He feels that he's improved certain areas on this ball club, getting the good starting pitching so far this year, and certainly tonight here from Reed. 0-1 pitch to Stassi, breaking ball. That will hang up high, and it's a ball and a strike on the left-handed batting first base. An interesting story on Brock Stassi and sort of a relationship, if you will, with Barnstormers first baseman Kelly Dugan. Stassi actually followed Dugan up the ladder in the Philadelphia Phillies farm system. Dugan signed a couple of years before Stassi did. It was Stassi who made it to the major leagues, but it was always one or two levels behind on the way up that Stassi would be as compared to Dugan. Dugan topping out at Class AAA, and then has sat out 18 after playing AA with the Diamondbacks in 17. Here's the 1-2 offering to Stassi. He rolls over a breaking ball, ground ball to Melvin Mercedes. Mercedes straight up, scoops, fires on to Dugan. 2 up and 2 down here in the top half of the 4th inning, as Reed is now retired 11 out of 13 so far in the game.
Nate Reed looked really good so far, and it's a good sign for the Barnstormers that he's pitching so well.
You know, the Barnstormers last year, it was such a crazy season. It was up and down. The hitting would be there for several days, and the pitching would go away. The starting pitching would be there, and the relief pitching would falter. The starting pitching would falter. The relief pitching would be good, but it just never all came together in 2019 for Ross Peoples in the ball club. Again, a chance for a new beginning here. Evanson Romero steps in. Romero, another guy who's been around the Atlantic League for a while. First New Britain, and then last year, mid-season, was traded from the New Britain Bees to the Long Island Ducks. He steps in, looks at a breaking ball from Reed, called strike on the inside corner. It's 0-1, the count on Romero. And here's a guy who had a couple of pretty good seasons in the Minnesota Twins organization. And actually, when he went back to New Britain to play for the Bees, he was coming back home because he spent a fair amount of time with New Britain in the Minnesota Twins organization. And then when affiliated minor league baseball left New Britain, the Atlantic League went in there for a few years. He ended up going back to New Britain, a town and a ballpark with which he was pretty well familiar. The 0-1 pitch, fastball, that misses high, a ball and a strike, the count on the right-handed batting Ducks third baseman. No score here in the top half of the 4th inning of our virtual opening night game, as Adam Gockenauer and I just make things up as we go along. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Romero. Here's the next offering, fastball that is lifted high on the right side. Dugan going over, gives it a look, but that ball will end up in the seats, and it is 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now the count on Evanson Romero, Deibinson Romero, often misspelled, I am sure. I've done it myself on several occasions.
One thing I think with Nate Reed, Dave, he looks really good. He's throwing a lot of strikes, and we always talk about that if a pitcher's in a groove, there's not a lot of balls, but he's hitting the plate with all his pitches. And so far, so good.
That's been something with Reed. It's been over the course of his career. Sometimes the control does get away from him. I think he has improved in that area over the last couple of years. Of course, 2 seasons back, he was the Atlantic League Pitcher of the Year for the Barnstormers, one of 3 such honors to come the Barnstormers' way over the years. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count on Romero. Reed peering in, getting the sign, and the 1-2 offering. Got him looking on the outside corner. Reed strikes out Romero for Nate Reed, his 3rd punch out of the ball game. Nothing across here in the top half of the 4th inning. We're through 3.5 with the score: the Barnstormers 0 and the Long Island Ducks 0. Along with Adam Gockenauer, Dave Collins with you as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning tonight on our virtual home opener at Clipper Magazine Stadium. Michael Martinez will step in to lead off. Hope you had some fun with Michael in very casual mode in our virtual meet and greet last night. Martinez in his 2nd year as a Barnstormer, of course, the man who made the final out of the World Series back in 2016 as a member of the Cleveland Indians as they lost in 7 to the Chicago Cubs. A very unheralded World Series, I suppose, because it didn't include the Yankees or the Dodgers or whatever. It did, of course, bring the Cubs their first World Championship in over a century. But a great 7-game World Series that was. Martinez got to be part of that. He was part of the playoffs in 2011 with the Phillies, facing Vin Mazzaro. Mazzaro, just like Reed, has had a very effective first 3 innings. He has walked 1, given up 1 base hit, struck out 2. He benefited from the double play against Marte back in the 2nd inning. Vladimir Frias making a very nice dig up the middle and getting that double play started. But here's the first offering to Martinez, batting left-handed against Mazzaro, and the pitch is inside off the corner for a ball. It is 1-0. Of course, we're operating Adam with the piece of equipment we like to dub Stu here at Clipper Magazine Stadium for strike tracking unit, the automated balls and strikes, once again being used here in the Atlantic League as they were in Major League Baseball during this spring training, and they used it in the Arizona Fall League last year. So once again, the Atlantic League being front runners, if you will, edge cutters in terms of baseball and the use of technology.
Yeah, it was enjoyable last year when you saw the borderline calls. The players naturally are in the process of looking back behind them, but now they look behind them and then they look up, which was very interesting.
And it's tough to argue with an inanimate object and not a human being back there. Tim Detweiler not making the ball strike calls. He's just relaying. You can't shoot the messenger, as the saying goes. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Martinez. That is inside for ball 2. Mazzaro, for one of the few times tonight, falling behind a hitter. He did walk Dugan back in the second inning. 2-0. The count to Martinez, and the next offering high, ball 3, and a chance for the Barnstormers to maybe generate some offense here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Scoreless ball game in the home opener against the Long Island Ducks. The Barnstormers did not enjoy the home opener very much last year. We mentioned the trouble that Lancaster had against the High Point Rockers in 2019. Well, it all began on opening night as High Point came in and beat the Barnstormers 7-1, an expansion team. We didn't know much about their roster, hadn't ever seen them play. Most of their players, especially position players, new to the Atlantic League. We didn't know what to expect, but Jamie Keefe not only won that opening night game, not only did his club have its way against the Barnstormers for the bulk of the season last year, but they did get to the playoffs in their inaugural season.
Yeah, this is a great chance for us to get a speedster on base, and then you look what's on the on-deck circle, and that's our big bat. So here's a good chance for the Barnstormers right now.
Martinez, late 30s, but he can still move it a bit. He's a great natural athlete. 3-0 pitch, and Mazzaro finds the range. Martinez taking all the way, 3 balls and a strike. Looming on deck is Caleb Kendall. Kendall with a fly ball to medium deep right field, his first time up against Mazzaro tonight. Here is the 3-1 to Martinez, and that is wide. Ball 4, a leadoff walk to Michael Martinez. The Barnstormers trying to break the deadlock here in the bottom half of the 4th inning and get a jump here tonight against the Long Island Ducks. Caleb Kendall now stepping in, the Barnstormers player coach for the first time here in 2020. Barnstormers got a great season last year out of Kendall on so many different fronts. You know, he was in every game but one last year, either at the plate or on the mound. He did DH a lot, gave the Barnstormers from time to time some quality work on the mound. It was always fun to watch when he got out there. But now fully concentrating on hitting, fully concentrating on making this offense go, both is really the key element in the lineup and is the hitting coach as well. So we'll see along the way what kind of benefits he can provide in both those areas. We know what he can do in this ballpark. Here's the first pitch to him from Mazzaro. Martinez takes off. Here's the throwdown from Cabrera. Not in time. Fringas thought he had him, but Martinez in there on the call made by Brian DeBrouwer. The Barnstormers with a runner in scoring position. The pitch was a called strike to Caleb Kendall, who falls behind in the count, 0-1. But now the Barnstormers with 3 chances to drive that first run home. Martinez's first stolen base here in the 2020 season. You know, Ross Peoples doesn't have Darian Sanford anymore, but he's still got some guys who can run. We mentioned Martinez, even though he's getting up there in years. BJ Boyd, Ladarius Clark, and certainly Melvin Mercedes all can run. Well, the Barnstormers with the man at second base in Michael Martinez. Nobody out. Bottom half of the 4th inning, a scoreless ball game. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Kendall, and he gets a hold of it. Long drive, deep to right field. Way back it goes, and the walls will not contain it. Caleb Kendall staking the Barnstormers to a 2-0 lead here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Martinez jogging around in front. The fans go wild, and the Barnstormers have their first home lead of 2020. Caleb Kendall fits this ballpark very well, Adam. He always has.
Oh, it's amazing. And just like we were saying here earlier, you just don't want to – that's a manager's pet peeve is to walk that first batter because it just always comes back to bite you. And Ross Peoples getting aggressive with Martinez, sending him, and then Caleb Kendall does what he does best. Great breakout for the Stormers here in the fourth.
A 2-0 lead. Kendall 20-plus home runs for the Barnstormers last year, club MVP, and he starts off his home season with a home run tonight. He hit virtually all of his home runs at Clipper Magazine Stadium a year ago. He is just meant for this ballpark. That'll bring on the big slugger, Destin Hood. He is the designated hitter for Ross Peoples tonight. Hood, a single in the left field his first time up. Digging again, Mazzaro, 2-0. Barnstormers in the lead here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. First pitch to Hood. Breaking ball, good for a strike on the outside corner. It is 0-1. Hood last year for about a month, maybe not even quite a month, was a very dominant force for the Barnstormers. He missed the first 3 months of the season because of a back ailment. He was only supposed to be out the first week. It ended up continuing and going on and on. He was not activated until July. Took him a few days to get going. Remember, he went 0 for 5 strikeouts his Barnstormers debut last year, shrugged that off. He was a terror for a while and then got injured in the brawl down at Sugarland. Wasn't quite the same the rest of the year. Played through it, gutted it out. He knew the ball club was short, but he just wasn't the same player the rest of the year. He had trouble pushing off on the bad ankle. Now he's ready to go again. Here is the 0-1 pitch, and that misses outside for a ball, 1-1. Mazzaro had been very solid the first time through the Barnstormers batting order, a guy who's been in the major leagues from 2009 to 2016, played for 5 different ball clubs. We should mention that home run by Kendall was brought to you by Comcast Business, by the way. That was hit at gig speed. You too can have gig speed with service for your company from Comcast Business. Prior to that, the walk was brought to you by Jack Williams Tire and Automotive Services. Be sure to check out Jack Williams Mobile Tire Installation. They come to you and change your tires right at your home.
Wow, Dave, I'm not sure if I'm sitting virtually next to you or John Whitwer, who I also sit with during the season. That wasn't too bad, but I'm sure John isn't too scared of his job getting taken quite yet.
No, I don't think so either. You know, we split the work during spring training every year, and by the time the season rolls around, I'm always ready to let John have his seat back. As far as I'm concerned, I've got the easy job, and John Whitwer has the tough one. He's got so many balls to keep in the air with all the reads and keeping the lineups and the substitutions straight and keeping Tom Richards straight, which is hard enough to do to begin with. So
very much
so. 2-0 Barnstormers, and Destin Hood facing a 1-ball, 1-strike offering from Mazzaro. Here is the pitch, and that ball is hit well also. Back to left field it goes, but the wind is blowing from left to right tonight. It's going to hold this one up, as it so often does. Darby Myers, a step in front of the track, is there to haul it in. That's the first out here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. 2-0 in favor of the Barnstormers. Barnstormers with those runs on the board, and those Barnstormers have come home, and you too can come home to a beautiful Boyd Wilson residence. 2-0 in favor of the Barnstormers. Here is Kelly Dugan, who drew a walk back in the second inning. Dugan is not just a guy with a lengthy baseball background, but he has an interesting parental heritage. You may remember his father from series such as The Rockford Files and longtime director Dennis Dugan, an actor mostly known for being on screen in the 70s. I believe, if memory serves me correctly, he was the director of Happy Gilmore, the great Adam Sandler classic golf movie. So Kelly Dugan, who actually, if you look at him very closely, and if you're old enough to remember his father from those TV series back in the 70s, there is definitely a familial resemblance there. So interesting to have Kelly aboard here. He replaces Casey Hobson as the Barnstormers' first baseman. Casey with the ball club for the bulk of the last 4 seasons. They were in effect traded for one another this offseason. Casey going to play for his dad in Chicago, and Kelly coming to the Barnstormers. They're hitting .313 in 56 games for Butch a year ago. He sat out 2018. Here's the pitch from Mazzaro, and this is popped up behind the shortstop position, Vladimir Frias. going back. He will haul that in for the second out here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. The Barnstormers out to the 2-0 lead, and that will bring in Ladarius Clark. And Clark is one of those players that his career statistics aren't necessarily staggering, but he brings all the tools with him, and that certainly enticed Ross. He's a guy who he's hit double-digit home runs the last couple of years, single A, double A levels in the Texas Rangers organization. He definitely has the tools. He's got the speed as well. In the lineup tonight is the left fielder, batting right-handed here against Mazzaro. Here is the pitch, and that is swung on and missed for a strike. It is 0-1. So Clark is sort of one of those high-risk, high-reward guys, a guy that you like having right where he is in the batting order. You like having somebody like this batting sixth. You don't want to move him up too far to the cleanup role because the average isn't quite there, but he's a guy that down in the order can do plenty of harm.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. He brings a little of everything to the club, which is nice. He's got a little pop. He's got the wheel. So that's a perfect guy to have at number 6. And hopefully we can get him on base and use those wheels and see what we can do here in the fourth.
No balls and a strike. The next delivery sails outside for a ball, 1-1 from Vin Mazzara, who has now allowed 2 hits and 2 runs tonight. He has struck out a couple along the way. A ball and a strike. The count on Ladarius Clark. The D is capitalized to be official. L-E, capital D, A-R-I-O-U-S. So he covers all 5 vowels. He may be the first Barnstormer ever to have done that in his first name, covering all 5 vowels.
I would only expect you to know that and not say maybe. I would expect Dave Collins to have a 100% answer to that one.
Well, it just dawned on me that he covers all 5 vowels in his first name. 1 ball, 1 strike. The next delivery called strike 2 on the inside corner. Mazzaro gets ahead of Clark at 1-2 as we have 2 outs, nobody on. Here in the bottom half of the fourth inning, the Barnstormers have taken a 2-0 lead in the ball game here tonight.
I have to say, Dave, you're separating our listeners here on when Kelly Dugan was up talking about the Rockford Files. From my generation on back, we know what that is, but our younger viewers are probably sitting there saying, what the heck is Dave Collins talking about? What is the Rockford Files?
Well, they may know Happy Gilmore, though, but
Gilmore, yes.
The Rockford Files, great TV detective series. James Garner, Noah Berry. Dennis Dugan was just a guest star from time to time.
Wonderful theme song, too.
Yes. Reached number 1 on the pop charts, as I recall.
You're exactly right, yes.
I think it did. That and Hill Street Blues.
Yeah.
And don't get me going, because I might start humming it. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Clark. That misses in the dirt. Gobbled up by Cabrera, because you can still run on a pitch that gets away, even if it's not the 3rd strike. That rule was implemented at midseason last year, and there have been some adjustments made to those experimental rules, but this one has stuck around. As a matter of fact, if they're going to try various ways to coax hitters to do that, they're even talking about down the road making that a base hit, believe it or not, if you so-called steal first base.
That was very interesting watching that last season, because hitters are so used to their whole career just letting that one go back, of course, unless there's runners on, but they would go to the backstop and they'd just stand there and you could hear the dugout yelling at them to run, but by the time they got the message, the catcher was back there, had the ball, and they were dead meat if they left the box.
Well, the Barnstormers had one guy actually do it. Josh Bell did it about a week into the ruling last year, and that was it. And they ran afoul of it a couple times. First of all, Tony Thomas from the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, whose cleats are enshrined now in the Hall of Fame, from that particular instance, was the first guy to do it, to the detriment of the Barnstormers. And then there was the Zach Shank incident, which I won't get into at great depth, against Sugarland, which led to Shank being ruled out, and actually a minor adjustment to the wording of that rule down the road. Fans, if they were listening at that time, remember what happened. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Ladarius Clark. The next offering from Mazzaro is punched down the right field line. Heading into the corner, giving chase is Clint Freeman, who's got a great arm. Remember, he pitched last year. Clark dares him though. He's going to second. Here's the throw, and he is out at second base on a close play. Clark given a single in the scorebook, but turns it into the final out of the inning. Again, Clint Freeman has that great left arm, and Clark, the victim of it here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. So for the Barnstormers, it's 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. At the end of 4, it is now the Lancaster Barnstormers 2 and the Long Island Ducks nothing. Adam, that was a make-believe inning. We're longing very much for some baseball to be played at Clipper Magazine Stadium. Of course, due to COVID-19, we're not able to do that right now. We just thought we would give the fans a taste of what might be, what might have been here tonight if we were at the ballpark on what is a chilly evening at Clipper Magazine Stadium. You would have had to have been wearing a blanket, but at least you could be out there enjoying baseball. So now we think of all of our friends and the Barnstormers family, and we just hope we can all be together later this summer. For now, stay safe, stay well.
I appreciate the invite, Dave, and it's been a pleasure here working with you, buddy. And as a retail store owner myself, it's been very hard, but we're going to come out of this better, and the support from the people has been amazing. So we're going to be here still to serve everyone, and I'm going to be back at the ballpark hanging with you and Whitwer and Richards and all the crew. So we'll be there soon enough. Let's just all stay safe and get through this together.